Hello everyone and welcome to another WarLock Tiles build of the month. This time we're going to have a quick look at this sort of small encounter area with the Sunken Portal. So, starting where they left off with the last build of the month, our players are going to come through the doorway that they found. Now, this could be that doorway, it could be any doorway that you want it to be in your world, so feel free to use this how you will. When they enter, it's sort of a dimly lit room with an area that's curved off around the corner. There's an upturned cart and what looks to be some sort of marketplace goods. But there's also a few sort of bits of torture equipment. You've got some stocks here, and if they progress into the room, they'll notice there is a guillotine. And when they notice that, that is when a small lone goblin will just charge them. If they're not paying attention, might do some damage. It might not, but maybe it's just an inkling of what's to come, because there's only one, and the one goblin, well, that's not going to do too much to the players. As they come around the corner, they'll see some more barrels, there'll be another doorway in front of them, and because of the way the WarLock tiles work, there's no real way of hiding the fact that this part here is going to rotate somehow. That's how I've designed it. There's no getting away from that. There's no real way of making it so it's not obvious because of the way the circle tiles build together. But, this right here now is in its closed position. And that's where you can put a puzzle into things. So maybe they've been given, or they find a scroll or half of a scroll that needs sort of translating. Maybe it's in runes, maybe it's just in code. And now if they can find the other piece, then they can put them together, they can work out what these letters or symbols mean, and that's how they can find the hidden switch to actually activate the door. So to do that, maybe they'll come over here and come into this storage room. Again, just using the pieces, the barrels and marketplace goods, it looks and feels a bit like a storeroom at the back here. That's kind of all it is. But what they will find is that one of these barrels, they technically all are, is not full of fruit. It looks like it is, but if they delve deeper, that's where they'll find the other half of the scroll, and that will allow them to then decipher it. And I'd make it as hard or as easy as you like for your players. Maybe when they've got the two halves of the scroll, the message is readable. Or maybe they have to sit there for a couple of minutes deciphering the code. You can leave that up to, yourself. You can determine how your players will best want that puzzle to be. They've found the pieces of the puzzle. Do they just get the answer, or do they need to work it out themselves? Either way, wherever that tells them to go, potentially under the sort of shelf in the corner here, there's a lever. They pull the lever that they cannot find unless they've got like a billion perception, and that is when this rotates. So rotating that, they are going to be met with something from the other side. So if they are stood on it, they will rotate with it. Otherwise, what they will see coming from the other side is some goblins that have just been twisted, and staring down across the sort of room now, an orc. Now just a little battle for the team to overcome as these goblins will rush into the room. I would suggest that, the players will be struck in amazement of this wall rotating. So these goblins and this orc will have some kind of surprise attack onto the party. It's not supposed to be a huge battle, but it's just supposed to be something, you've got this wall to magically open, but there was something the other side waiting for you. Now, in this area, once you've dispatched these goodies, or baddies even, you're going to be going into the sort of staircase area. Many ways that they can go up. Potentially you could booby trap one. Maybe there's something mentioned on the scroll about only taking the stone path upwards, or maybe the wooden path upwards. And if they take the wrong one, maybe the stairs will become slippy and flat and they'll fall down and take, 1d4 damage or something. But it's basically a glorious sort of staircase area that allows them to get up to this main area. Now, this main area is very blocky. You could put the walls on if you wanted, but because it's a raised area, I haven't. And that is because when they get to the top here, they will effectively stand on a pressure plate, and that will reveal what's below. And this, of course, given the name, is the Sunken Portal. Now, you could have that covered with black cloth. You could have this not on the table at the start. You could do that however you wanted. But basically, as soon as this area is uncovered, you will press on to turn your portal on, and then, slowly but surely, some things will start coming through. So you can tailor this to how big and bad you would want this to be. I love the way that there is, some things that are going to be coming up through from this portal that's now been opened. They're going to maybe come up. Other things are going to be down here that the players are going to have to go down to take out. You've got the verticality, which is something that's often missing from WarLock tiles. It's often a very flat sort of map. This gives some height. The fact that players have had to go up and down into this, and the way I sort of opened this rim up, I think really allows a sort of a verticality of looking down. It feels like they're up high, even if there's not actually that much difference for the miniatures. Once you've taken them out, maybe you have to take a specific one out, and that turns the portal off. And again, you can just turn the portal off by tapping those, because it's one of the WizKids ones, and you have effectively saved the day. An interesting encounter, and potentially this is the area that you find maybe the potion or the person that had hexed whoever the frog was in the last WarLock Tiles build. So that's the end of that little plot line. So I have used 5 sets. I have used the summoning circles. I have used a Dungeon Tiles 1 for most of the floors and the walls. I've then used the Dungeon Tiles curved set, the expansion, just to give a little bit more visual variety, as well as opening up the opportunity for that rotating wall in the middle. Now, there's 2 parts of this build that I really loved, the verticality and that rotating wheel, hence the curves needed to be used. And then the other 2 sets that I used were the stairs and the ladders, which is, again, for that verticality. And then I used the marketplace expansion. That's where all of the scatter terrain, the boxes, the crates, the guillotine, even the upturned cart, that's where all of that came from. And I kind of did that just to try and see, can I use what should be an outdoors set for an indoors location? And you know what? I think it really does work quite well. Yes, I've not used the market stand and a few bits, but for the bits in here, for the crates there, and stuff like that, it really works to bring sort of small locations to life without sort of jam-packing them full of stuff. Please check out the other WarLock Tiles builds of the month. There's a playlist for that, or just find them on the channel. And until next time, have a great month gaming.